Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us today at the SWANA webinar, The Healing Power of Bioresonance. When we talk about the healing powers of bioresonance, can I just ask you a very simple question? What is health? What is health? And what is health to you? Some say that health is your wealth, isn't it? That's what a lot of people say. But I think wealth is only one very crucial part of health. Because if you think about it, our physical health and our mental health, our social and spiritual health, and our financial health are all very interlinked, isn't it? If you are out of balance in any one of this, your health will change very quickly. If you have no money, that's going to definitely affect your mental health. And eventually, it's also going to affect your physical health and your social and spiritual health. So when we talk about health, we're talking about an individual that should be balanced in all of this respect. Because our body is the miracle worker in itself. It regulates itself, it heals itself. Our metabolism is managed by our body itself. Our health manages itself. We are that miracle. But when things are out of balance, this is when things go wrong. So what is disease then? If you look at disease from a technical perspective, it's a deviation from health. It's a deviation from the norm. But in short, the way I see it, it just means your body is out of balance. Does that make sense? Because stress is the number one factor in diseases, lack of exercise, our habits, our infections, even external toxins like all the electromagnetic smoke that we have, agricultural, household chemicals, all play a role in affecting our health. Even the mere act of living is actually causing our body to get out of balance, right? Free radicals, metabolic acids, all these things work that cause our body out of balance, if that makes sense. But when we look at medicine today, yes, it's very advanced. We've got very, well defined areas of medicine like gastroenterology, neurology, cardiology, urology. All of these are branches of medicine, and most of them work on treating signs and symptoms. If you were to look deeper into disease, the fundamental systems that cause imbalances, like defense and repair, our immune system, our endocrine system, our cardiovascular system, and even other factors like stress, nutrition, exercise, sleep, all affect our health, right? And these are all well understood today. But there is one thing that is not very well known, well explored: energy. Here you look at this, even the Institute for Functional Medicine just calls it energy regulation, cellular function. But it's a lot more than that. If you look at energy medicine today, what does energy medicine mean to modern science? It's more like MRIs. It's more like the X-rays using high energy to create an image. Use radiotherapy using high energy to kill cancer cells. Right? Use a radio frequency ablation when you've got nerve pain. They use radio frequencies to actually kill the nerves, or lasers to kill the nerves. These are all energy medicine, right? But they have not gone the other end of the scale. They've not looked at the other end of the scale, because if you look at energy, it is everywhere. Even Albert Einstein said everything is energy. That's all there is to it. If you match the frequency of the reality that you want, you cannot help but get that reality. It's not philosophy, it's not magic, it is physics. What did he mean by that? If you have an electromagnetic wave that is between 500 to 900 nanometers, okay, if you specify that, then that is just simply energy that you are able to see in the form of visible light, yellow light, red light, green light, blue light. All these are just different wavelengths of energy. If I tell you, if I tell you that you have a beam of light that is this frequency, it's not magic. You know that it is the frequency of blue light, for example, right? So it's not science, it's not philosophy, it's not magic, it's all physics. And as a person, as an individual, we can feel energy, right? We feel heat, we feel light. It's so hot these days. And Nick is in the UK and it's feeling cold. Energy, in most cases, is invisible, but often it is measurable. And everything that we do has an energy component. If you look at light, if you look at electromagnetic waves, light, it is both magnetic and electric. That's why it's electromagnetic. If it is light in this spectrum, 400 to 700, it is visible light. If it is high energy, it's ultraviolet. If it is higher than that, then you get your X-rays. Even higher, you get your gamma rays, your um, radiotherapy medicine. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, the infrared, that's where you get your TV remotes, right? Your microwaves, and then your radio waves, and even lower than that. These are frequencies which science has not really looked at in the medical field, or it's not been very popular. So if everything is energy, then everything must have a resonant frequency, right? What do I mean by that? What is resonant frequency? Resonance is the matching of frequencies, like what we saw just now. And you can see that even a simple voice, your simple voice, whoops, even just using your voice, you can actually break that glass. He didn't touch it, he didn't bang it. It's because of the energy from his voice being transferred into the glass, causing the glass to shatter. And all of this you can see it on YouTube over and over again to prove it for yourself, right? Even the earth actually has a resonant frequency. Think about this. On our planet, everywhere around the world, there is a lightning storm that is going on. And the lightning that hits the earth all around the world creates a resonance as it bounces in our atmosphere. And Professor Schumann actually discovered that this is the Earth's vibrating frequency, 7.83 hertz. Now think about this. If even the Earth has a resonant frequency, what more beings like ourselves on the Earth? Now remember this 7.83 hertz. I'll come back to this in a while. Okay, let's move on. Even Nikola Tesla actually said everything works on frequencies. And if you look at bioresonance, what that means is if every single cell in our body has an electromagnetic field, then when you introduce a negative effect to that, that will affect uh, the vibration or the frequency of the cells. So if we're able to, through bioresonance, add on or add increase energy to our cells from an external source, then it can override or repair the natural resonance of that cell. I hope that makes sense, right? As we move on. So if you look at bioresonance, even in the early 1900s, this was already being researched. It has been around for well over 100 years. The Russian physiologist Nikolai Vedensky was the first to use electrical sensors to study the nerves. Okay, you also had Russian medical scientists that actually discovered that every cell has an energy field. But this was finally then confirmed by Royal Raymond Rife in the 1960s when he invented the high powered microscope. With this microscope, he could now be able to see live what was happening to cells and to cellular bacteria or parasites in any sample. And this was what he discovered. He discovered that if you put frequencies to cells and organisms, some things can happen. Let's take a look. Here you see they are swimming all around, right? These are parasites, parameciums. See, when the frequency was turned on, they suddenly jump and they start vibrating like that glass that we saw that was about to explode. You see, take a look. There you go, they explode. One after another, you see them absorbing the energy to the extent that they explode or implode and die. And then these can then be removed through our body's detoxification process. Okay? And in 1934, this Dr. Rife, he discovered that he could cure cancer. He worked with a doctor in California and treated 16 terminally ill patients. All were cured. Now, you would imagine somebody who finds the cure for cancer, he'd probably be the richest person in the world after that, isn't it? Unfortunately, he died penniless because that was the time when the American Medical Association was taken over by representatives of the drug industry, and anything that was not drug related was suppressed. So, unfortunately, he died penniless, but the Russians continued the research. And what they discovered that the heart, for example, has a resonant frequency of a multiple of 7.83 hertz. Even the American Journal of Cardiology states that if your heart rate is just below 80 beats per minute, your risk of having a heart attack is reduced tremendously. Why below 80? It's just about 78 times a minute, right? 7.83 hertz means a frequency vibration of 7.83 times a second. A multiple of that, 10 times, would be 78 times. And that's our natural resting heartbeat. Interesting? Well, let's see. They also discovered that beta rhythms would affect our conscious state of alertness. Alpha rhythms could help to relax. Theta rhythms could help us to meditate. And delta rhythms happen when we are in deep, dreamless sleep. So if you can start discovering all this, then doesn't it make sense that future medicine could really be the medicine of frequencies? And it's not modern science. Modern science has actually forgotten about all of this. You think about it. In India and Tibet and areas like that, you have Reiki their version of energy meditation, chakras, their version of vibrational frequencies along the body's meridians. You have Chinese medicine, the concept of the meridians. Again, this is all energy related, circulation of energy flow. Even Qigong, you have in Asia, Silat. All of these are energy related and frequency related healing medicine, healing methods, which science has never quite looked into, isn't this? Because if you think about it, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. If you were to go back 100 years ago and you pull out your mobile phone today, they will look at you and not know what kind of devilry or witchcraft you'll be practicing, being able to just tell the weather from there, right? Or contact another person just from a piece of glass. Because it's so advanced, they just cannot understand it. Could it be that what our forefathers knew with Reiki, with meridians, were so advanced that we've even forgotten about it? Let's look at something even more interesting. In Japan, in the early 2000s, a concept called Hado, a trend was trending in Japan. And the concept of Hado, the words that make up Hado, is the word wave and the word move, moving waves. And the whole philosophy behind Hado is that Hado creates words, and words are the vibrations of nature. Beautiful words create beautiful nature. Ugly words create ugly nature. This is the root of the universe. Now, if you think about it, if Hado creates words and words are the vibrations of nature, then what we think and what we say and what we believe really does affect our surroundings, right? Let's look at this, explore this a little bit more. This is Masaru Emoto. He wrote this book in 2004. It was a New York Times bestseller, The Hidden Messages in Water. He took samples of lake water from Lake Fujiwara and he tried to make it into an ice crystal. It failed. Then he went back to the lake, said a prayer at the same place, and took another sample of water and turned that into ice. And this snowflake formed. All it did from the same spot, the same water, all he did was say a prayer. And that set him off on other experiments. What if you played heavy metal music, or he put a label on the vial and said, every time you walk past, you say, "You make me sick. I will kill you." Or even just something like Adolf Hitler. Now, why would water know who Adolf Hitler is? But yet, just by putting a sticker called Adolf Hitler and thinking about that name every time he saw that vial of water, cause crystals to fail to form. And if you replace that with words like peace, you are beautiful, it's so different, right? Even a simple variation like I can't do it fails to create a crystal, and I can do it. Maybe self-talk, but that creates a beautiful crystal of itself. And you can see, right? All of this shows that if you really want to understand and find the secrets of the universe, you need to really think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And there have been clinical studies on the effectiveness of bioresonance, from smoking to stomach pain to rheumatoid arthritis to fibromyalgia to athletes that overtrain or experience burnout. What's more interesting is if you look at smoking cessation, you can see that after 1 year, those in the bioresonance group were more effective at staying quit. Well, take a look at the research for yourself. It's all here at healthline.com, bioresonance. And it's not something that's new. Bioresonance has been around since the 1930s. This is Dr. Rife in his clinic when he was curing the cancer patients that we talked about earlier. That has then shrunk now to a table-sized machine, but you still need to be strapped in. And it has grown smaller still, but still with wires. And yet today, we have a device which is completely wireless. It runs on batteries. And not only that, this SwanaGuard, this device, the SwanaGuard that we're talking about, it's not only doing bioresonance therapy, right? It's got actually 4 modes. In bioresonance therapy, the 2 modes are mode 1. When you switch on the device, you go into settings, you will be able to select the mode. So mode 1 is what we call monofrequency therapy. This device actually has 3 emitters, 3 speakers, so to speak, if you want to think about it that way. 3 emitters. And in mode 1, only 1 emitter is used. Why? Because this is more gentle. This is for people who are, for example, very old or already experience very severe problems. So if it goes to a more aggressive mode, they might get healing reactions which scare them, which can be very painful. So you can start off with mode 1. Mode 2 is, of course, more effective because all 3 emitters are being used, and it's effective up to 30 centimeters around our body. Okay. And bioresonance therapy is used for things like detox, for any bodily functions like muscles, your heart, your respiration, your immune system, the reproductive system, premature aging, infectious safety like COVID. This is where bioresonance therapy is used. Now, this device also has a third mode, which is called structural resonance therapy. Now, our body has evolved over millions of years to work together with the day and night cycle of the earth. When it gets towards midnight or towards the end of the day, our body temperature automatically reduces. If you see here at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., or 9 a.m., sorry, that's when the highest testosterone secretion. That's when men have to wake up and start to go hunting, right? When it comes to the in the morning, you go hunting, you're alert. And that's the time when you have the best coordination and reaction time. And that's when you have to run to chase after the prey or bring them back. And by the time you get back, that's when your body is at the highest blood pressure and body temperature. And as it goes on, melatonin starts so that we sleep. Bowel movements get suppressed. All of this works on a cycle that has been developed over millions and millions of years. But today, not many people sleep before midnight, right? And our body temperature and our body clocks have gone haywire. So structural resonance therapy works to reconnect ourselves to the base rhythm over our evolution, right? And this helps to bring back our body to a state of health. So for those who have the device, complex number 8, super program number 3, this is the only complex which runs mode 3. Okay, now moving on. The third effect it has is something called transcranial magnetic stimulation. Now I know that's a lot of words. I just like to call it brain stimulation. Okay, anything related to the brain, that's where this comes in. And it's something that actually has been proven. It's been approved in the US for the treatment of depression. So this therapy is not something new. it's already well researched. And what it does is things like stress reduction, fatigue relief, relaxation, memory improvement, learning process, creativity support. Remember, we were talking about alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves, and delta waves. These are the complexes that make use of these waves to correct or to stimulate the mind in certain ways. Jet lag, for example, right? When you're exhausted and you're tired, you need a little bit of mental boost, for example. These things are what the Mode 4 programs are for: well being, the mood, reducing anxiety, nervous systems. And the other thing that was implemented in this that is implemented in this device is something called bioscanning. Now, bioscanning just means that when you run a program in mode 2, 3, or 4, the Swanagat will scan your body first. And what it does during this time is checking your body's frequencies for any pits and valleys that the system needs to adjust in order for you to absorb the frequency more effectively. Okay, and the way you do that is when you run a complex, because you're holding it, you just turn it towards you like this, with the screen facing away from you, with the back of the screen facing you. You hold it for about 7 to 8 seconds until it vibrates and beeps, and the countdown clock starts. And that's when you can switch it off and hang it around yourself. This is the process of bioscanning. Okay? And my favorite part of this, it's infinitely programmable. If you're computer savvy, or you know a little bit about computers, or you know somebody who can help you, they can create programs and complexes to suit you specifically. That's what this can do. We've had, actually, a lot of people may have come across things like energy water filter, or a device that adds magnetic resonance or energy to the water. These are all working on frequencies. They are vibrating and sending energy into the water, or they are sending energy through a mattress through us when we sleep. These are all using energy, but those are fixed. This in its in itself alone are more than 200 complexes, ranging from high blood pressure to low blood pressure to anemia to body aches to back pain to gout. It's not just already programmed in there. It's something that's programmed and something you can add to it. It can be reprogrammed. And that, to me, is what makes this device the most attractive for me. For only 3,000 ringgit, it's the equivalent of almost having like a doctor on call for me. That's the way I see it, right? Because with 200 programs, almost anything that I come across, uh, it can help. In my case, the one thing that was most effective for me was snoring correction. I snore like a freight train. And yet, this was able to reduce my snoring by 80%, even from the first day itself. And that was something that told me this really works. And you can see as well, right? When we do these kind of therapies, it helps to cleanse our body, restore our body, and harmonize our body. And we've seen people who have come from stage 4 cancer. This is a stage 4 prostate cancer on the 15th of January 2023. He had a PSA. PSA are cancer markers. On day 1 of that test, he had a cancer marker reading of 73.7. Anything above 40 is cancer. He was already stage 4 cancer, prostate cancer. On the 3rd of February, on the 19th day, just doing detox, it reduced to 28.3. Carrying from that, on the 21st of February, on day 38, it reduced to 21.5. And on on the 4th of March, on the 49th day, it reduced to 7.16. And at that point in time, he started doing prostate inflammation and cancer prevention. And by day 80, his cancer readings, the marker readings, have reduced to less than 1. How do you explain something like that? A thermal burn. This chap, unfortunately, was suffered a boiler accident at the workplace. The boiler exploded and he suffered burns all on his face. Just using thermal burn program for 4 days, this is the result. What a difference in just 4 days. Sorry, just give me a minute. I'm just rebooting that presentation. I'm not sure why the video is not coming up.
If it still does that, then you can talk us through it, Nick. Sorry.
Sure, no problem. I think maybe in the meantime, Nick, perhaps you might want to share your own personal testimony of using the sauna device.
Most certainly. Sorry, let me get my picture up. So, okay, all right. I've been using sauna now for about 3.5 months, probably, maybe about that time, maybe even 4 months. And one of the things that really helped was my cataract reduced quite dramatically. I was having a little bit of discomfort with that thing, and my vision was bad. But on my left eye, the cataract almost, well, I'd say about 70 to 80% gone, and that was quite a quite remarkable change for me. And also, my diabetes is coming down. Lots of little things, headaches, shoulder pain. We have put it on our friends who's had shoulder pains, and while we're talking, I take it off them, and they say, I ask them, how's your shoulder? Oh my God, it's all gone now. It's just very amazing that it is just so fast that it can happen, and it works directly on matching frequencies, and it's working away. That's so brilliant. And there's 100 more, but I'll let Nick carry on now.
Thank you so much for your sharing, Nick. It's really amazing. Even I think even your brother. I think your brother also has amazing testimony to share, isn't it, Prabha?
Yes. Yes.
Is he around? I saw him here. Prabha, would you like to share your testimony?
Okay, I first started using 3.5 months.
Can you turn your video on as well? Is it possible?
On the top. Okay.
Right.
Oh, excellent. Yes.
Okay, I used it about the same time as Nick, my brother, and the first thing I saw some improvement was on my knee. I had a bad knee. My left knee was aching badly, and after using it for less than a day, it improved so much, and I was taken aback because I've been going to doctors and all that, and I take painkillers and all, but now I've stopped taking because the pain is much reduced. That was one, and the next one was I don't sleep very well at night, and after using this device, I sleep so well. It's like it's worth so much money to be able to sleep so well. So these are the two that I have noticed from before, and there are many more, but I give others a chance to share their experiences as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your sharing, Prabha. If not, then
this is Abby. I would like to ask Mr. Prabha which complex he used for the knee pain.
Knee trauma.
Knee trauma. Thank you so much.
Yes. Welcome.
You're most Nick, welcome. We also have a question from Lau. May I know what program Prabha used for his sleep? Was it insomnia program, Prabha?
Yes.
Okay.
Insomnia.
Now, insomnia program is a very good program for sleep. those who are not so chronic can also use alpha for peace. Alpha for peace also helps to calm the mind down and prepare the body for sleep. Okay. Any other questions? Since we've already come to this stage, let's have a few questions if there's any questions. Yep. Anyone? Does anyone have any other questions on this?
Datin Sharifa has got a story about a tooth. I don't know if she wants to share that at this moment.
Okay. I've got inflammation of my gum. And when you talk about inflammation of the gum, definitely it's gonna affect most of my teeth, right? It's not a toothache, but teeth ache. So I am not in favor of dentist. Otherwise, I would have married one. But again, I refused to go for the afternoon checkup, and it led to a real headache by 10 p.m. And by 10 p.m., of course, dentist not around. So my husband was asking me to try on the dental program. So I put it on, and voila, you know, at about 10 minutes or so, my 80 to 90% of the teeth ache gone. And so I look into this sub program, what is it running, what's it's running on, and it is actually doing the anti-pain. So obviously, I'm very delighted. I've ran twice the program, plus another one more, which is sinus, because that's the only thing that I could think of that made me having the inflammation of the gum. And by the next day, lunch, I could eat my lunch like almost usual. So that's great. And also recently, my husband had got a food poisoning situation, and we tried the program, and he did not need to take any other medication apart from the frequency wave. That's great.
Mm.
Which one did he use?
Food poisoning.
Oh, food poisoning. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Thank you so much for sharing, Natin.
Yeah. Thanks to both Nick.
Amazing. For dementia, normally how long can see the result? Dementia is something that is very, very hard to say because different people, their rate of where they are in terms of the severity can be different in everybody. And for some people, it may work extremely well. For some, it may take a very long time or it may not work. So it's very hard to say. Sorry, I can't be a bit more specific, but that's the way it is. Any other questions? Okay, I hope this is something that can help you open your mind to something that may appear to be magical at first glance, impossible. But once you understand a little bit about how frequencies and resonance